4 inches tall, and Foreman gives up 2 inches in reach to Briggs, although usually it is George's telephone pole jab which dominates the space between the two fighters. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
Both fighters throw and land about the same number of punches, but obviously against a different class of competition. In the fights we have tracked on Briggs, he's thrown 70 or 80 punches in the first or second round, many fewer, maybe 35 or 40 as a fight goes on. Jab is the big punch. It's what George Foreman uses to win his fights these days. Briggs has a decent jab when he uses it.
Rules of the bout with the George Foreman of ringside judges, Harold Letterman.
The George Foreman Shannon Briggs fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count. No 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
All right, Harold, and now let's get ready to bring both fighters into the ring. First to enter, Shannon Briggs. Next to him, camera left, Mark Roberts, the manager with whom he lives in Upper New Jersey. You can see that George Foreman was 32-0 when Shannon Briggs was born. He's 25.
Right now, you have to say that he is simply a product of the hype of being a New York fighter who comes from the same Brooklyn neighborhood as Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe, because he hasn't beaten anyone of any substance. He was stopped in 3 rounds by Wilson, as you pointed out earlier, but he has a good story. He has a great body, and he has bad hair, which he picked up while he was playing chess in Washington Square Park in New York from all the hippies who hang out there.
And the record for Shannon Briggs, 29 wins. He was 25-0 when he lost to Darrell Wilson in that bout. He dominated the first 2 rounds, got cut in the 3rd round, and folded like an accordion. Those people who don't expect him to beat Foreman say that the problem is in his heart. Shannon Briggs was chosen by George Foreman from a list of opponents suggested by HBO. Let's give you a look at the other names on the list.
Well, not all of these are exactly tigers. And the odd thing about it is that George normally doesn't want to fight a fighter who has any athletic ability because he's afraid he'll move away from him. But he bypassed other fighters who are strong fighters to take Briggs, presumably because of that Wilson fight.
What do you think of that list, Roy?
I think it's a very impressive list myself, and he probably took the best fighter for George.
And now here comes George Foreman to the sound of Amazing Grace. George Foreman, 45-2 in the first career, then the 10-year layoff, 31-2 in his comeback career, the 4 losses to Muhammad Ali, Jimmy Young, Evander Holyfield, Tommy Morrison. No knockouts for Foreman since he knocked out Michael Moorer to win the title for the 2nd time, November of 1994. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Azoff and Wald, main events fight night. Cedric Kushner Promotions with Henry Holmes Productions and your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Present 12 rounds of boxing for the linear heavyweight championship of the world. Sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazzard Sr., Chairman Jerry Gormley. Board members Gary Shaw and Stephen Katz. Deputy Commissioner John Greco. Physicians at ringside, Dr. Kenneth Remsen, Dr. Stephen Oxler, Dr. Dominic Coletta Jr., and Dr. Louis Sabatini. Timekeeper at the bell, Roosevelt Gilbert. Counting for the knockdown seconds, alternate referee Tony Orlando. The three judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system will be Kelvin Claxton, Lawrence Layton, and Steve Weisfeld. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Eddie Cotton. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, from Donald J. Trump's Taj Mahal Casino Resort of Atlantic City, New Jersey, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. Wearing white trimmed with black, he weighs 227 pounds. His professional record, an excellent one. 29 victories, including 24 knockouts with only one defeat. Tonight, he plans on taking another step towards his goal to become the world champion. Ladies and gentlemen, from Brooklyn, New York, here is the challenger, Shannon and his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white trimmed with blue and weighing 260 pounds. This 1968 Olympic gold medalist has a professional record of 76 victories, including 68 by knockout, and he has 4 defeats. Now, he steps into the ring for the 81st time, prepared to defend the title he captured by victory in the ring and never lost by defeat in the ring. Tonight, we turn the page to another chapter in the ongoing career of a boxing legend. Ladies and gentlemen, from Marshall, Texas, presenting the two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Big George Foreman.
Come on this side. Okay. All right, chief seconds. Boxers. Where's your chief seconds, Chairman? All right, boxers, you received your instructions in the dressing room. Obey my commands. Protect yourself at all times. Let's touch gloves. Have a good, clean fight. Let's touch them.
George talks more these days about missing his church work, missing his work with his kids program. He's not in the best shape we've seen him in recent years. Does he still have the old want-to and the can-do?
Fascinating stare down, Roy, as George stared silently at Briggs, and Briggs started laughing and talking to him in the middle of referee's instructions.
Yeah, and I guess that shows some confidence in Briggs.
Well, some of his supporters thought he might have been a little psyched out at the weigh-in where he refused to look at George. This was different. Shannon Briggs hoping for major redemption tonight. When he lost to Darrell Wilson a year and a half ago, his trainer Teddy Atlas left him. And when Briggs said that he was bothered by asthma in the bout, Atlas said he never said anything about it to me. He's had an awfully tough year. Shortly after that, his mother died, and then a very close friend was murdered. So he feels as though he's coming out of the shadows and perhaps into the spotlight tonight against Foreman. Briggs, who has been known to throw an average of 80 punches in the first round, is definitely not fighting at that overwrought pace in the first round here.
He's trying to use his jab and step away from George because he knows that George is looking to land those big punches on him. So he can't throw as many punches because he can't stand as still as he normally stands.
Briggs smiling as he moves around the ring. His new trainer, Carlos Albuerne, said, if he uses the ring and stays away from the ropes, he wins the fight. If he goes to the ropes, he loses. It's as simple as that. We've lost our clock temporarily. Minute and 30 left in the first round. Foreman trying to maneuver Briggs into the corners, and as slow as he appears to be, George is excellent at using the ring space to his advantage, Lloyd.
Yes, he is. He cuts the ring off. He makes you back into a corner. Once he gets you close enough and uses the ropes to trap you, then he throws his big punches.
Saw Foreman nodding at Briggs. They're having something in the way of an ongoing conversation in there. And there comes the Foreman jab, which was so evident in his conquest of Savarese this past spring. And you hear the crowd responding as George lands. A little bit less than a minute left in the round.
And Briggs is landing a pretty good jab himself here early in the fight.
Seconds left in round number one. Both fighters trying to establish their jabs in this first round. Shannon Briggs giving you a preview of the footwork that he hopes can win the fight. But there he puts his back against the ropes, and that provides the kind of opportunity that his trainer says he cannot afford to give to Big George.
Good job, fellas, good job.
Cuando he goes, you say, up back up, go, we hang out, you move for the other side and you hit it. Listen to me, all right? You win the first round. Bad. You need to use your job. Don't run it. Work with him. Work. He go with his side, you go with the other. Go.
Foreman, as has been his custom in the comeback career, standing in the corner between rounds. Angelo Dundee offering a few small nuggets of wisdom. And as round two begins, we're joined at ringside by the world heavyweight co-champion, if you will, Lennox Lewis. And Lennox, what did you think of the first round?
I felt the first round went pretty good. They're both getting used to each other. Shannon can't put his back against the ropes, so George will catch him. I think George is just waiting to set up a big right hand for Shannon. But everything's going well so far.
Which fighter do you think might be able to establish his jab first?
Well, it looks like Foreman's trying to get his jab going. I think Shannon's trying to mix up his punches and use his speed. George definitely has the experience and is using it.
Stop one.
Would you consider fighting George Foreman as one of your options if the Holyfield deal goes south?
Well, he's definitely an option to me. Whether he wants to fight me as well, one depends.
It'll depend on the money, Lennox.
Definitely.
What about if Briggs wins the bout?
If Briggs wins the fight, well, I know my friends down at Susie Q's wants me to do that. Wants me to fight him.
Susie Q's is in New York?
No, it's in Toronto.
Uh-huh. Little inside stuff for Lennox Lewis as round two reaches the midway point. Foreman working behind the jab.
I tell you what, if Briggs doesn't knock Foreman out here pretty soon or knock him down and do something to gain some momentum back on Foreman, he's going to be in for a long night. Because the longer this fight goes, the more George is going to get into this fight.
Well, and when we saw the Savarese bout early in the spring, you saw how George was able to wear down Savarese and ruin him in the late rounds because of his incredible stamina, his great relaxation in the ring. Isn't that really his biggest secret, Lennox, the relaxation?
Definitely. That's where the experience comes in. You know, it just keeps on the pressure, and at the right moment, he knows when to turn it on.
missing with the left there, but coming back to stick the jab. And Shannon Briggs, I totally agree with you, Roy Jones. He's fighting George Foreman's fight right now.
Yeah, he's breathing harder than George is.
Which is a good time for me to point out that I spoke with a psychologist before the fight who has worked with Briggs, and who told me that Briggs' biggest worry is that he doesn't have the stamina to go the distance because of his asthmatic condition.
Well, he in bad trouble if that's the case.
Briggs manages to land a left over the top. Second round has been a pretty good one, though, both in terms of tactics and punches landed for George Foreman. Lennox, quick thumbnail prediction. Who's going to win the fight?
Well, the best man.
Beautiful. Why don't you go back and run for Prime Minister, Lennox? Thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Lennox Lewis, looking forward to a possible fight with Evander Holyfield. Join us for the most recent installment of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. Featured in this edition, a profile of Detroit Pistons superstar Grant Hill, a talk with NFL quarterbacks Boomer Esiason, Jim Kelly, and Mark Rippon about their son's life-threatening illnesses, and an investigative look at John Gillette, accused of swindling millions of dollars from top professional athletes. Real Sports, the only show of its kind, and it's only on HBO.
I don't want to be in there with you. So steady jab, you drive me crazy.
The voice of the great Angelo Dundee.
Okay. Get on his case. He don't want no more. He really don't want no more.
Angie asking George to throw that telephone pole jab. And George starts to put a little bit more mustard behind the punches as round 3 gets underway. Shannon Briggs hasn't really released the right hand at all, Roy.
No, and hopefully he's saving it and waiting for those late rounds when he usually gets bored on a fight and has nothing to do. Hopefully he's saving his right hand for those times, because he will need it tonight at that point.
This really shows you what a specific art boxing is. I mean, the athletic gap appears to be huge here, but George's technicianship gives him a vast edge in knowledge of what to do.
And let me tell you something else, Jim. The crowd plays a big part right here. Every time George lands a good punch, the crowd goes crazy. This has a psychological effect on the other guy, Briggs, because it makes him think, well, man, am I getting caught with big punches? Am I hurt or what? You know, it makes him think twice about himself. Stuff like that.
Well, if he doesn't know if he's getting hit with punches, he's got a real problem.
Now they say he didn't know if he's getting hit. I said it makes him wonder again, am I hurt? Am I looking foolish? What's going on here, you know? Makes him second guess himself.
It's a really good point, Roy. And it seems now
he's slacked and punching. You see that?
That Briggs has abandoned the style that he used in the first round.
Because he's tired. You get tired of running from a guy. It takes a lot out of you to run from a
Briggs
guy.
lands a left hook, but he's really in a defensive mode here. You saw him there with his back against the ropes, and we already told you what his trainer thinks of that. Now here he is backing into a corner by himself.
Hey, you know what I'm thinking here? You can run, but you can't hide. Same thing I was going to say for Griffin before the last fight.
It's not even a small ring. There's plenty of space in there.
It makes no difference. You can run, but you can't hide. Now, if he goes ahead and fights, then he can avoid George a little easier. But he can't avoid him by not fighting. He has to fight.
Stop punching, Shannon. Stop hitting him. No, stop hitting him in the back of his head.
Last 30 seconds of round 3. So far, everything going George Foreman's way, or so it seems, against Shannon Briggs.
And I think
Good job.
Why is that, Roy?
Because once he gets inside, Shannon's got his hands up, his right hand up, looking for the left hook a lot. And George will sooner or later get inside, and Shannon's going to stay straight up, and George's going to sneak that left uppercut right under the right hand, and that'll be a dangerous punch. And I think that's George's best weapon because people don't see it coming.
Come on. Shannon looks awfully tired as round 3 comes to a close.
It's nothing, Shannon. You listen to God, it's nothing. Listen to your trainer and do what the hell he tells you. Come on.
Go with me. Why you don't use the right hand? Why you don't use the right hand? Tell me. No, you don't use it. Come here, baby. You want to lose the fight? Use a jab. Jab. Right hand. Come move.
You must punch Shannon. He's right. Come on. Take a breath. Come on. Take a breath. You're here for this fight.
Go with me.
Come on. Come on.
Come on, baby.
Come on.
Okay, son, move over, slide on the guy. You know what to do. Slide. But everything is with your jab. No wide shots. No wide shots. Don't reach for him. He's ready to go.
Here's George patiently stalking Briggs. A left that was short, a right that wasn't.
And I'll tell you what, Larry, Briggs' corner is feeling this sense of urgency that we're talking about here.
Yeah, you heard veteran cutman Al Gavin playing an extremely vocal role as he tried to shame Briggs into fighting, saying, come on, you're supposed to know what you're here for. Briggs threw an average of about 33 punches around in the first 3 rounds, and that won't get it done. He's got to throw at least 50 punches around to have a chance.
In the back of his head. Okay, stop hitting him. Yeah, but stop hitting him in the back of his head. Okay. All right, good job, good job.
And you heard the trainer screaming for the right hand. Briggs not releasing the right hand up to this point in the bout. Shannon seemed to know that he needed to throw more punches as he came out for this round, but Foreman's been landing the jab at about a 70% clip.
One reason he's not throwing that right hand is because he can't see a target. George has that big jab up in front of his right hand, so he doesn't see anything to throw it at.
Easy pickings.
Good job, good job.
George Foreman landing the jab with metronome regularity against Shannon Briggs.
Good job. Yeah, punch out. All right, stop punching, stop punching, stop punching.
One of my favorite expert observations when George sits next to me, Roy. This sport is easy if you have a jab.
Very easy if you have a jab. Oh, Shannon's starting to feel real bad now. And the crowd is not helping him in. Oh, good shot. There's that somebody I'm talking about right there, Larry.
There's a hard right hand by Briggs as he suddenly comes out of his doldrums.
Yeah, but this is sort of like the last thing, the last straw. If that doesn't work, then what's he going to do?
Briggs said that the Brownsville would come out of him sooner or later, meaning that he would fight like a Tyson, come out and roar despite his plans, but we haven't seen that part of him yet. Or a bow.
Well, for his sake, hopefully we'll see it tonight.
Briggs landing a left hook.
All right, stop punching, stop punching, stop punching. Good job.
He's landed more effective punches in this round than had been the case in the 2 preceding ones, but he's also taken some punishment.
In the back of his head, man. On the clips.
And referee Eddie Cotton continually warning Briggs for hitting Foreman in the back of the head. Now we're getting close to a penalty deduction on that subject.
Briggs is telegraphing his punches so much that George can see him coming from a mile away.
All right, stop punching, stop punching. Good job, good job, good job, fella. I like that.
Briggs should stick to his jab and stay away from George. That's the safest weapon he can use.
There, Briggs beat George to the punch with the jab, but it's happened all too rarely. Foreman doesn't look very pretty as he releases these combinations, but the punches just keep coming.
Why isn't he throwing the right hand, do you think, Roy?
Because he doesn't see a right hand target. Every time he looks, he sees George's big left hand there, so he doesn't see a straight shot to throw it at.
So why not go to the body?
Because you don't fight a smart fight.
Nobody ever goes to the body against George. I don't get it.
Short shots, jab like you do. And hit this guy with a hell of a left hook. Don't let him bump you in the shoulder, okay?
Body shot. Take it from me. Take it from me. Just get a little close away and ram the hook right in his body. You got it weak.
Don't nothing. Nice strong shots. In close, believe me, you can nail it with a left hook. Be close. Don't hook from the outside. Everything's a jab. Jab.
Hey, a move.
All right, everybody.
Go. Wait, look at me.
Angelo Dundee asking Foreman to get in close and nail his man with the left hook.
To answer your question, Jim, a lot of guys, when they see George tote them Jeeps around, they feel like body punches won't hurt this guy, so why throw it?
too, but logic tells you plan A ain't working, you got to try plan B.
Go to corner, go to corner, go to corner, go to corner, go to corner. You got a glove, George.
Eddie Cotton with a piece of loose tape on Foreman's glove. Briggs in a neutral corner.
Yeah, clip this off and put some tape on here.
Okay.
Okay?
Little cameo for Dundee here.
Okay. Okay.
And for once, Angelo didn't do this on purpose.
For what?
Hard right hand by Briggs. Every time Briggs seizes momentum for 5 or 10 seconds, George claims it back with the jab.
You know, this is so funny to me. You see a 48-year-old guy here faking out a guy, making him flinch, doing the things that the young fighter should be doing to him, you know?
Stop punch. Good job. Thank you.
Well, there's a simple question that you ask about every boxer at some stage of his career. Does he know how to fight? The book is still out on Shannon Briggs, but the verdict was in a long time ago on Foreman. If ever there was somebody who knew how to fight, this is the guy.
Born to fight.
Briggs getting a couple of open shots and taking them. Foreman lands that right across the top.
I think that might have hurt Briggs a little bit.
Well, you know, we've talked for years about George's ability to hurt people with glancing blows. You wondered if it was gone since he's gone 3 years without a knockout, but he may be in line for one tonight.
I tell you what, I seen George stop a guy with a shot to the back.
Did you? I'm not surprised. Harold Letterman, how'd you score the first 4 rounds?
Jim, 3 rounds to 1, 39-37, Big George Foreman. He just keeps walking him down, and wrapping him with that tremendous left jab. And the key to the fight is Shannon Briggs is just standing straight up like a totem pole. You can't miss him. He's got to bob and weave and move that head.
You're asking him to do things, Harold, that he doesn't do. If he did those things, he wouldn't be Shannon Briggs.
If he did those things, George might not have chosen him from that opponent's list. That's another area where George excels. Matchmaking.
Oh, that's a good body shot, Jim.
Left hook to the body. I think that's something that Briggs ought to do every time it enters his mind.
Okay.
How are you ever going to know if George can handle body punches if you don't at least go there and try it?
You got a point there.
Stop punch. Good job, Shannon. Put some tape on his gloves. Put some tape on his gloves. Hey. Put some tape on his gloves. Bad.
Yeah. Whoa. What are we in?
Tape on the glove.
61%.
Where? Give me a channel, Luis. Channel, you need a water.
Take a little water. You gotta use that right hand. Beautiful. Okay.
Back it up, George, over here. Seconds out. I got him.
To the other guy once in a while.
Let's go.
Round 6 of the scheduled 12. George Foreman against Shannon Briggs.
If Shannon can do that right there, jab hook and stay on the outside, step around George, don't let George have what he wants. That's his best chance of winning this fight.
Yeah, that was out of the Morrison book on how to beat Foreman. Jab, hook, move out of the way.
Those right there are the things he needs to do, but he has to keep doing it. He can't let George sit there and do nothing. He has to keep punching George like that, right there.
And he's got to try to give George angles instead of being in front of him as he has been throughout so much of the bout. But Briggs off to a decent tactical start in this round.
But now he stops right there, and that's what you don't want to do.
Okay, hands free. Watch his shoulders. Watch out.
You know, these punches look so slow from George. You're thinking, how do they land? Obviously, it's deceptive.
Very deceptive.
Right hand by Briggs.
Very good right hand by Briggs.
That's a pretty good idea, too. You know, change up. Throw straight right hands and lead with him.
But he has to do it more often.
Come on, hands free. Let's punch up. Hands are free. Come on, pick him up, Sam. Pick him up. Watch him
Briggs showing small pockets of awareness here and there. And Foreman continues to try to wear him down. Briggs is a big, strong man at 6'4", 227, but when George leans on him like that, it's got to take something out of him over the long haul.
Yeah, it does. But he's a younger fighter, and if he wants to win this fight, he has to stand up under that.
Stop punching.
Left hand to the chest. Crowd responded. Briggs shook his head as if to say, hey, wait a minute. That wasn't all that big a deal. Why are you people cheering? Underlining the point you made earlier about how the crowd gets in his head.
Right, the crowd will get in anybody's head like that. It's not just him.
There's a quick left hook inside that landed flush for Shannon Briggs, and Foreman just keeps on coming.
That wasn't nothing.
All in all, to this point, Briggs has not been able to hit Foreman the way Savarese did, the way Axel Schultz did, the way Michael Moore did for 9 rounds. Maybe George is improving. Halfway through. Let's turn to another sporting subject entirely. Over the last 100 years, maybe no other sport has undergone as massive a transition as ladies figure skating. Join us in January as HBO Sports presents Reflections on Ice, a diary of ladies figure skating as we look back at the evolution, the sacrifices, the successes, the tragedies of ladies figure skating through revealing interviews and never-before-seen footage. It premieres January 27 right here on HBO Sports. Hello, Dorothy.
Listen, over there somewhere, listen.
Oh, yeah, don't get excited.
The other guy's loose. The other guy's loose.
This isn't ladies figure skating tonight.
No, fine.
I gave Briggs the last round.
Did you?
I thought that was his best round since the first. I was about to start thinking he is submitting, giving in, but he found something in that last round. Let's see if he can exploit it.
If he continues to do that right here, every round he starts out.
This looks good.
Every round he starts out just right. If he just can keep that up for 3 minutes and continue that throughout the fight, he'll have no problem.
Well, Briggs did manage to get off 48 punches in round 6, his highest punch output of the fight so far. And perhaps not coincidentally, Harold Letterman gave him the round also. So let's see if Briggs can build on what he did in round 6 and mount a rally against the so far more effective George Foreman.
I think George is going into the toe-to-cheek mode now.
Foreman going mostly with the jab. Briggs throwing the greater variety of punches. Big power punch edge for Briggs. In round 6, he landed 17 of them to only 4 for George.
Okay, all right. Let's go.
He's doing a smart thing here, Briggs, by throwing these snapping punches while George's punches are winging, because you have to land the quicker punches. If you're quicker than a guy, use your hand speed on him.
Watch him hands. Let him go. Let him go. Hands free.
Briggs keeping Foreman occupied inside, going to the body so that Foreman doesn't have a chance to throw that uppercut, which might have done so much damage.
All right, stop punching. Good job.
Foreman has to land a good punch on Briggs for some time now, though.
which is mostly due to the fact that Briggs is just handling himself better. I don't think George is tiring or changing.
No, I think Briggs is doing the right thing. He's not fighting George's pace. He's fighting his own pace. He's throwing quick, sharp punches, and he's keeping George on the move. That's the way to beat George for a young guy here.
Maybe it took Briggs 5 rounds to settle down and get his head straight and remember what it was that he planned to do.
It's been a while since he's been in against an opponent like this, though, you know?
He's never been in against an opponent like this.
Well, somebody with a name on HBO, you know, it's different when you step up with this big TV scene. It's a whole lot of difference, you know? You have a reputation to uphold when you fight here.
In all honesty, when we had him on against Darryl Wilson last year on HBO, that was a showcase for Briggs. We ran a profile of him, which was a star profile. We were as shocked as anybody when he folded up like an accordion after Wilson hit him in the mouth.
But there's a lot of pressure there sometimes, and people don't realize the pressure that a person is under when you profile them and you do all these type things, and it's the first time.
Okay, stop punching, stop punching, stop punching. Good job, fellas.
Foreman going back to hitting Briggs flush in the mouth with the jab. Shannon Briggs with a combination to the body, and the right uppercut to the chest was a real good idea.
And now he's out punching George, he's out working George. I think he's fighting a lot smarter fight now.
You can do it all night in close. Deep breath. Throw a feint once in a while. It's pretty. You straighten him out of position. Nice. Get the jab.
Good round. Good round.
That's great.
Hey, man. Go down. Go. Put it down. Listen, baby. You win the fight. The fight is too close. He's the champion. He's the 8th round. 4 more rounds, you are the champion. What happened to you? What do you want? Or you want I hit it to you? Come on, baby.
Right here, son. It's all the way.
Go with me.
Don't let him get moving. Keep him backing up with the jab. Train him, see if he'll go for a sucker shot.
George Foreman is a compelling figure in boxing. This is not a compelling fight.
Show ain't. But at least it's changing. In round 6 or 7, Briggs found a formula for limiting Foreman's opportunities, as is evidenced by the fact that CompuBox numbers in round 7 showed Foreman attempting only 21 punches. Here's a hard right hand across the top by Foreman. Briggs shakes his head, but that punch landed. Harold Letterman, how you got it through 7?
Jim, I got it 5 rounds to 2, 68-65 George Foreman. I think he hurt him in the 7th round with a couple of punches he landed. Thought he won that also. He certainly lost the 6th round, so I'm talking about Foreman. But he just keeps walking him down and wrapping him with the harder shots. I think he's winning the fight.
He's winning the 8th round. That much I can tell you.
I have it 4 rounds, 2 and 1 even.
Stop it.
I always manage to find an even round.
I was just about to say that, Larry. You know, if they go 1 round, I think you got that 1 round even from the get-go, you know?
Even cameo on Larry's card.
I'm glad I got it out of the way.
Foreman over the top with the right hand. Foreman with a hard left hook. George having his biggest round since early in the bout.
Yeah, and because Briggs is not being offensive now. Briggs is all defensive, and he's letting George be offensive. The best defense is offense.
His feet have stopped moving, his hands have stopped moving, and he's letting George hit him. Now Briggs lands a left hook across the top. Great point. The best defense, particularly against a fighter like Foreman, is a good offense.
The best defense, period, in my case, I think, is a good offense.
Hard right hand.
At least that's what my dad taught me.
And he taught you well.
That was the hardest punch of the fight for George. He must sense that Briggs is weakening or that he just doesn't have any more movement.
Why is Briggs standing straight up here taking these punches is what I would like to know.
Maybe Briggs expended so much energy in rounds 5 and 6.
Yeah, but he can slip the punches. He's in there. Oh, good shot by Briggs. Now, that was smart.
Left hook to the body down low. Very
smart
good
shot.
Hard right hand across the top for Foreman. Round 8, the biggest crowd pleaser of the bout.
You can't let Foreman rally like this, because on this rally, he's 48 years old. He may get a 10-8 round here for this big rally. And then you got to knock him out to win the fight now.
hook to the body if Briggs will keep throwing it. That's a very good idea.
Listen, you don't want to work, you lose the fight, all right? Go. Fuck. Hey, man, with you. What happened? You won too many for nothing. Maya, cubo. Pinga esto. What's up with you, baby? Go with me.
Don't go punch.
9th round. Turn it on.
Go take it now.
Take a look at that flurry of punches from George. A combination of left with a right behind it. A half hook behind that. Old George is like an old lion who can still mangle you if he catches you.
Nice and steady.
And Foreman, who threw 21 punches in round 7, threw 67 punches in round 8 and landed 64% of them. So it was a huge round for Foreman, fueled by the jab. He was 25 for 36 in that category.
Shannon needs to tighten up here and win the rest of these rounds if he wants to even be in position for this fight.
4 rounds to go.
Did they say Shannon Briggs the one that had asthma, or was it the cornerman? The cornerman seemed like he was struggling a little bit just now. Or maybe he was just overexcited.
Maybe the asthma is contagious. Although Teddy Atlas, of course, never caught it.
I don't think that Teddy Atlas questioned that he had asthma. I think his concern was he never raised it before. Why would you raise it after you lose your first fight? Sounds too much like an alibi.
Stop punch. Step back. Good job.
Well, Atlas also claims that when he spent 4 hours with Briggs at a hospital after that fight, waiting for Shannon to get his eye stitched up, that Briggs never said a word to him about asthma during that period of time. That's Atlas's claim, and Briggs says, I've never been so hurt in my life by somebody who would defame me after having been so close to me for so long. He also says that Atlas was trying to make him a puncher and that he believes deep at heart he's always been a boxer.
Well, these are things that you have to talk out amongst one another while you're working together. You don't wait till it's all over to start working things out. That's how things get so confused. That's how problems come about. When you don't have communication, you mess up an organization.
Well, that's yet another Briggs observation, that working with Teddy Atlas means you listen while Teddy talks.
Well, then Teddy needs somebody that can't talk. But I know a few guys like that, man.
Foreman crunching Briggs inside with a left hook. They trade body shots in close. And Briggs punctuates the exchange with a right cross. So Foreman chases him across the ring and lands his own right cross.
And I'm going to tell you something. Briggs can't keep getting hit with his right hand or it'll chop you down. George is chopping on him just like he chops on those trees. If he keeps on knocking little ditches out, he's going to eventually chop you down. Good body shot by George. George throw the hook body, hook head. Oh, Shannon is in George's territory right now, I have to say.
Well, give him the gold star for bravery then.
Yeah, because he's fighting.
Dominant tactic in the bout so far. George Foreman's legendary jab. It's been the bulwark on which his entire career has been built. Larry Merchant, take us through the replays of Foreman's jabs.
Well, George, this was almost a non-existent punch for George in his first career. It's the punch that has sustained his second career. This is a medley of jabs. And he's not just touching Briggs.
Yeah, give me. Charlie, tight on.
Come on, Charlie, the wrong way.
Come on.
Hold his head. Go.
Don't let it slip.
Come on.
himself has a little bit of swelling under his eyes. He has been hit with some jabs himself.
Jabs through round 9. Foreman landing 120 of 177. Briggs 44 of 104.
Briggs once again starting out the correct way.
10 rounds is as far as Shannon Briggs has ever gone in his career. He got a 10th round TKO over Valdez in his last bout. Briggs lands a right hand across the top. He had a big rally in round 9 of the Valdez fight. Let's see if he's got something saved for rounds 10, 11, and 12 here.
Now that goes into the books or into our computers as a jab. That didn't look like any jab I've seen before.
Looked more like a straight left hand by a southpaw to me.
Larry, among all the heavyweights you've ever covered, whose jab did you like the best?
Larry Holmes had a great jab. Ali.
Sonny Liston?
Liston had a hammer, a really big jab. I don't think anybody depended on the jab as much as Larry Holmes did.
Larry's here tonight in the crowd.
Stop punching.
Veritable who's who of boxing tonight. You've heard from Lennox Lewis. Brunel Whitaker sitting in the row right behind us. Young heavyweight Michael Grant
Pick him up. That's close.
here to observe his compatriot Briggs. David Tua fought on the undercard.
Uh-oh, that body shot might have hurt Briggs.
Pick him up. Come on,
Stopped
Shannon.
Briggs in his tracks for the moment, but Shannon resumes throwing punches. If you joined us late,
Come on, you
David
guys, let's get him
Tua,
up, let's get him up.
in his first
Watch
bout
your
since his loss to Ike Deabuchi, beat Jeff Lally in a second-round knockout. Totally one-sided affair that Tua dominated with body punching. He knocked Lally down 5 times.
Well, the good thing about the young fighters is once you think you got one that's just about to make it, just about to bust onto the scene, you find something tough come out from around the corner and upsets them, you know? That's why I like to see the young guys fight so much.
Let's watch him head spells. That's right. Keep the punches up.
Good body shot by Shannon.
Hard right hand to the body, sets up a combination up top. Foreman feels the need to come back with a certain fury, but Shannon Briggs with some very effective stuff in round 10.
Highly effective.
One more round.
Good round.
Yeah, man. Go. Go with me. Go. Put it full. Go. Take it wild. Baby, 11 rounds. Watch. 11 rounds. You doing 2 more. Same with this. You win. You are the champion. You understand? Go, baby. Baby, you say jab. You say jab.
Try to swing with it. Like when you get in close, try that instead of walk at him. Like when you're crossing. I don't understand.
Okay, come on. That right hand.
Body shot. That one stopped Briggs, hurt him. Briggs came right back, took that idea, and then popped George on top of his head.
If Shannon is a gambler, he just rolled himself a hard 10. Now he has 2 more to go, and he'll be all right.
Good job.
Shannon Briggs dominating round 10, landing 28 out of 44 punches, 64%. 20 of those lands, power shots. Let's see if he can step up the pace yet again in round 11.
All right. Whatever happens in this fight, what you look for in a young fighter is heart, courage, championship stuff. I don't see it in Briggs even if he wins this fight.
Well, I see a little bit of it because he's taking some good punches tonight. He's showing some good angles. He's throwing some pretty good punches.
Harold, how'd you have it through 10?
Jim, 97, 93, 7 7 rounds to 3, George Foreman. I'll tell you, Jim, I always score somehow or another for the effective aggressor. He's just carrying the fight to Shannon Briggs. I mean, Shannon's landed some awful good shots in this fight, but George just keeps walking him down. He is the effective aggressor. He is landing the hardest shots. I think he's winning the fight overall. Shannon could make it close in the last 2 rounds, but I think George has got enough rounds in the bank to win the fight.
I have it 6-3 and 1 even.
Watch your head! Watch your head!
What's your instinct, Roy? Either man got a chance to score a knockout in these last 4 minutes and 40 seconds?
Of course, both men still have a chance to score a knockout. Briggs is a big puncher. George, as you know, is one of the biggest punchers of all time. So either guy could score a knockout, but at this pace, I don't think we'll see one.
5 of Foreman's last 7 fights have gone the distance.
Okay, stop punching.
Knockout over Pierre Kutzer in the 8th. Knockout over Michael Moore in the 10th.
Stop punching the back of his head, man.
Those 7 fights have averaged nearly 11 rounds apiece.
Let's go.
If this goes the distance, it'll be yet another 12-round effort by Foreman as he approaches 49 years old.
I want to clean.
Another thing that some of these younger guys don't understand is that if you're fighting a guy over 40 years old, the judges expect you to go out there and dominate this guy. They're not going to give you a close fight against this guy because you're the one who's supposed to go out there to show yourself. You're supposed to be the showcase.
Briggs badly off balance as he landed the right-hand shot.
Watch him heads.
Incidentally, 11 years ago tonight, Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, knocking out Trevor Berbick in the 2nd round. Of course, if Foreman, by some stretch of the imagination, can get another shot at the heavyweight title, he will again be trying to become the oldest man ever to win it, as he was the night he knocked out Moore. Hard shots by Briggs.
He's trying to knock him out. He's trying his best to knock him out.
I think he's shown more courage and stomach in the last 3 rounds than in his whole career up to that point.
My points too. I think he has.
Last round. Come here. Very nice. Got only the last round. That's all there is, son. Very nice. Good. In close.
You ever think to me? All right. Now, it's the 12th round. Watch it, the last round. What is it? The last round. The last round. It's a jab. Jab. Right here and move.
Last round.
Go.
Yeah.
You got to let your hands free. You got to use a jab.
Shot come. Shot come. Take it. Hand up, jab, get close.
Last round.
Everything. Come on.
No more. Very nice. Steady, steady. Don't get sloppy, okay? Let's see a lot of jab.
Round 12 of George Foreman's 81st professional bout. Shannon Briggs, probably behind on the scorecard, probably needs a knockout.
I think so.
Foreman trying for the knockout with that hard right hand over the top, but it was short.
Pick him up.
Foreman landing to the body, comes back with a left hook. Jab, jab. Foreman the busier fighter in the first 40 seconds of the last round.
All right, let's watch some heads in there.
Good 1-2 combination by George. A left hook followed by a right hook.
Right now it appears that Briggs is just trying to last the distance that he has submitted to George's enormous will.
4th route-going performance in a row for Foreman. If we hear the bell for round 12, hasn't had a knockout since the Moore fight. Maybe he doesn't need knockouts to keep winning at this stage of his career.
All right, stop punch. Come on out.
As long as he can choose his opponents this carefully. Blood around the edges of Shannon Briggs' nose. Visible evidence of Foreman's 12th round attack. All Foreman now as Briggs backs up.
I tell you, Shannon Briggs is really showing some heart here tonight, though. He's fighting. He's not running. He's not being afraid. He's trying. He's letting it all hang out. But George may be the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Briggs landing a left hook inside. Foreman coming back with a left right of his own. 30 seconds to go.
Okay, stop punching. Good job.
Three judges at ringside, probably holding the fate of Foreman's career in their hands. Hard to imagine that he could rebound in a business sense from a loss at this point, but to our eyes, it appears he's not in danger of that.
His courage, Briggs, came too late.
You saw what were no doubt words of encouragement and support from George Foreman to the man whom Foreman no doubt believes he has just defeated. Harold Letterman, how'd you finish up with the scorecard?
Look, Jim, once again, I'm not one for giving a fight to a guy that runs away. And certainly Shannon Briggs ran for 12 rounds from George Foreman. Judge took it to him. I think he deserves this fight. 116, 112, 8 rounds to 4, George Foreman. I just loved him on effective aggressiveness. I thought he landed the harder shots. Shannon Briggs did see his blood in the 12th round and certainly didn't fold up. He punched back, but even still, George took it to him. George landed the harder shots. George did more damage. Foreman by a decision, 8-4.
Amazing grace under pressure in the late rounds from Foreman. Came out and seized the 12th round to punctuate his statement to the judges.
And you wonder, how can a 48-year-old man continue to come out and outwork these young guys? It's just so unbelievable.
Well, what amazes you more? What he did here tonight, or that video of him pulling the Jeep up a hill strapped to his back?
Of course, you know that Jeep is the most amazing thing I ever seen.
And final CompuBox punch stat numbers for this bout. Foreman landing 284 out of 488. Briggs throws 6 more punches but lands 61 fewer. Foreman with that extraordinary 58% connect percentage, made even more extraordinary by the fact that to the layman's eyes, every punch appears to be thrown in slow motion. Jabs. Foreman landing 157 out of 230, 68%. It's almost as if he walks up and says, I'm going to hit you with a jab, and you're not going to be able to stop it. Briggs, 57 out of 135, respectable, but probably not enough. Let's go to Michael Buffer.
From the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, we go to the Budweiser scorecards. Steve Weisfeld scores the bout 114 to 114. He has it even. Lawrence Layton scores the bout 117 to 113, and Calvin Claxton has it 116 to 112 for the winner by majority decision and new linear heavyweight champion of the world, Shannon Briggs.
That's how boxing goes. That's why it's very unsafe to just go in there and assume that you're going to come out a victor.
Not the first time that the 3 judges at ringside had seen a different bout than the one that we watched. 5th loss of George Foreman's career. So Shannon Briggs joins the list of names that begins with Muhammad Ali and includes Jimmy Young, Evander Holyfield, and Tommy Morrison. And Briggs' career is revived in a heartbeat, as long as it took for Michael Buffer to read the scores. Audience does not agree with the decision. Claxton 116 to 112 for Briggs. That's a simple 8 rounds to 4 for Briggs, including 6 of the last 8 rounds to Briggs in Claxton's scorecard. Lawrence Layton 117 to 113 for Briggs, including 7 of the last 8 rounds to Briggs. And Steve Weisfeld is the man who saw it even at 114 apiece. He gave each of the last 2 rounds to Foreman, and indeed, Weisfeld gave 4 of the last 5 rounds to Foreman, while the 2 other judges were giving 6 of 8 and 6 of 7 of the closing rounds to Briggs.
Unbelievable.
It's a subjective sport. Let's go to Larry Mertzett with the winner.
All right, thank you, Jim. All right, Shannon, why do you think the crowd here doesn't think you won the fight?
I think you won. The whole crowd here thinks you won. Well, you know, it was like a tough fight. George hit me with a lot of clean punches, and you know, George is a favorite here. George is a favorite here, so you know, the crowd was definitely behind him. But I just want to thank God, and I want to thank my mother who watching down on me, because this is for her, for my son and my girlfriend. You know.
Why do you think you won the fight?
I got to look at the tape, really, and be honest with you. I thought I hit him with some clean shots. I think I hurt him a couple times, and the crowd, you know, the judges probably seen that. George was very persistent and hit me with a lot of clean punches. You know, the pressure was really heavy on me, Mr. Merchant. I felt like, you know, before the fight that I was stepping into the death chair, you know. But
George, what do you mean by that?
You know, I was very nervous. This was my first big fight, and with my new trainer, Carlos Sobrano, and I felt like, you know, this was the biggest fight of my life. So, you know, I just tried to control it and come out here.
Were you concerned about your stamina?
Very concerned. You know, there's something that I got to conquer, and, you know, I felt like, you know, George was really coming on strong, but a lot of his punches, I've seen a lot of his punches. I blocked a lot of his punches. A lot of times, people thought I got hit because the way my hair moves, but hit me with some clean jabs, some good punches. I took his blows. He hurt me once or twice, but, you know, I hurt him too. I feel like I hurt him too, but I just want to, you know, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity after my last fight here on HBO.
Thank you very much, Shannon.
Thank you, sir.
Jim, Roy.
So a stunning victory for Shannon Briggs in a bout which, quite frankly, all 3 of us at ringside, all 4 of us, let's include our unofficial ringside scorer Harold Letterman, thought that George Foreman had won rather handily.
Well,